During World War II, 40,000 people crowded into tunnels beneath Naples, Italy. Above them, Allied bombs fell for 3 straight years. Over 100 bombing raids, 20,000 civilians killed in the streets above, but underground, in shelters carved from ancient Roman stone and reinforced with techniques older than Christianity. Families survived. Not just survived, thrived. These tunnels had been there for 2,500 years, built by Greeks, expanded by Romans, used as aqueducts, as catacombs, as wine cellars, and finally as bomb shelters during the deadliest conflict in human history. When engineers examined these structures after the war, they found something impossible. The ancient portions were in better condition than sections built just decades earlier. 2,000-year-old construction outperforming 20th century engineering. They spent the next 40 years trying to understand why. And what they discovered changes everything we think we know about building shelters that actually protect families. Number 1. The Naples Underground. The tunnels beneath Naples stretch for 125 miles. Not a typo, 125 miles of underground passages carved into volcanic rock over 25 centuries. Greeks started excavating around 400 BC. They needed building material for the city above, so they quarried the soft, volcanic tuff stone beneath their feet. Those quarries became tunnels. Tunnels became aqueducts. Aqueducts became cisterns that stored water for hundreds of thousands of people. Romans expanded the system. They connected chambers. They reinforced walls. They created an underground network that could supply water to an entire city. For 2,000 years, this underground world served Naples through every disaster: plagues, invasions, earthquakes, political upheavals. The tunnels survived them all. When World War II brought bombing raids to Naples, citizens knew exactly where to go. They descended into the same chambers their ancestors had used for millennia. 40,000 people living underground, sleeping on stone floors their great-great-grandparents had walked, sheltered by walls that had protected families since before the Roman Empire. Number 2. The impossible observation. After the war ended, engineers began assessing bomb damage throughout Naples. They documented destroyed buildings, collapsed structures, infrastructure that needed rebuilding, and they noticed something strange. The ancient portions of the underground network showed almost no deterioration. Walls carved 2,000 years ago remained solid. Chambers excavated by Greeks before Christ still held their shape perfectly. But sections built in the 19th century showed significant wear. Areas reinforced in the early 20th century needed repairs. Somehow, the oldest parts of the structure were in the best condition. This made no sense to modern engineering. Building materials deteriorate over time. That's basic physics. Older should mean weaker. Older should mean more damaged. Yet the opposite was true. The oldest walls in Naples underground were the strongest. The most recent additions were failing first. Engineers began asking questions that would take 40 years to answer. What did the ancients know about construction that we've forgotten? What techniques created materials that actually improve with age instead of decay? Number 3. The Roman Concrete Mystery. The answer started with concrete. Roman concrete specifically, a material so durable that structures built 2,000 years ago still stand today. The Pantheon in Rome, harbor walls throughout the Mediterranean, aqueducts still carrying water after 2 millennia. Meanwhile, modern concrete structures crumble after 50 years, sometimes less. Bridges built in the 1970s are being condemned. Parking garages from the 1980s collapse without warning. We spend $125 billion every year in America alone repairing crumbling concrete infrastructure. Something was clearly different about Roman concrete. But what? Researchers knew the basic ingredients: volcanic ash, called pozzolana, lime seawater in coastal structures. Aggregate materials like rock and brick rubble, but when they recreated these mixtures, they couldn't match the durability of ancient samples. For decades, the secret remained hidden. Then, in 2023, a team from MIT finally cracked the code. And the answer had been hiding in plain sight the entire time. Number 4. The Lime Class Discovery. Professor Admir Mazik had been studying Roman concrete for years. He kept noticing something other researchers dismissed: small white chunks scattered throughout ancient concrete samples. Previous experts assumed these were evidence of sloppy mixing, poor quality control by ancient workers, basically mistakes. But Mazik couldn't accept this explanation. The Romans built engineering marvels that lasted millennia. They developed detailed recipes refined over centuries. Why would such careful engineers accept poorly mixed concrete? He decided to investigate these white chunks more closely. Using advanced imaging techniques, his team discovered these chunks were made of various forms of calcium carbonate. More importantly, they formed at extremely high temperatures. The Romans weren't slaking lime with water, like we assumed. They were mixing quicklime directly with volcanic ash at extreme temperatures, a process called hot mixing. And those white chunks weren't mistakes. They were the key to everything. The Romans had created self-healing concrete. Number 5. The self-healing secret. Here's what happens inside Roman concrete that doesn't happen in modern concrete. When cracks begin forming, water seeps into those cracks. In modern concrete, water is the enemy. It corrodes steel reinforcement. It freezes and expands. It destroys the material from within. But Roman concrete responds differently. When water reaches those white calcium chunks, it dissolves them. The calcium saturates the water. Then it recrystallizes inside the crack. The crack fills itself automatically. No human intervention required, no maintenance crew needed. The material literally heals its own damage. Mazik's team tested this theory by creating Roman-style concrete in their laboratory. They cracked it deliberately. Then they ran water through those cracks. Within 2 weeks, the cracks had completely healed. Water could no longer flow through. They tested identical concrete made without quicklime. Those cracks never healed. Water flowed through forever. 2,000 years of durability explained by tiny white chunks that everyone had ignored. Number 6. Why modern concrete fails. Understanding why Roman concrete succeeds reveals why modern concrete fails. Modern reinforced concrete has a lifespan of 50 to 100 years. Sometimes deterioration begins in as little as 10 years. The problem is steel reinforcement. We add steel bars to concrete because concrete is strong under compression but weak under tension. Steel handles the tension. The combination seems perfect until water gets involved. Water penetrates concrete over time. It reaches the steel reinforcement. The steel rusts. Rust expands to 7 times the volume of original steel. This expansion cracks the concrete from inside. More cracks let in more water. More water causes more rust. The cycle accelerates until the structure fails. Roman concrete avoided this entirely. No steel reinforcement. Instead, the volcanic ash created chemical bonds that handled tension naturally. And when cracks did form, the self-healing mechanism repaired them before water could cause damage. The Romans didn't just build stronger concrete. They built concrete that improves with age while ours is designed to deteriorate. Number 7. The Trullo principle. The Romans weren't the only Italian builders who created structures lasting centuries. In Puglia, southern Italy, there are stone buildings called trulli that have stood since the 14th century, 700 years old, still inhabited today, UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And here's what makes them remarkable. They were built without any mortar at all. Just limestone blocks carefully fitted together using dry stone techniques. No cement, no concrete, no binding material of any kind. Yet they survived earthquakes, wars, centuries of weather. And they're still standing while modern buildings collapse around them. The principle is the same one the Romans understood. Materials matter, technique matters, mass matters. These Trullo structures use thermal mass to maintain stable temperatures inside. Cool in summer, warm in winter. The thick stone walls absorb heat during the day and release it slowly at night. No electricity needed, no heating system required. Just ancient building knowledge creating shelters that protect families generation after generation. 40,000 people survived World War II bombing raids in shelters built before Christ. Not because they got lucky, because their ancestors understood building principles that modern construction has abandoned. Thermal mass, self-healing materials, underground climate control, techniques that require no electricity, no computers, no complex supply chains, just knowledge passed down through generations. The MIT discovery in 2023 didn't just explain ancient concrete. It proved that better building methods exist, methods that create structures lasting millennia instead of decades, methods that heal themselves instead of crumbling, methods that protect families through any disaster. The construction industry continues using materials designed to fail. continues building infrastructure that requires constant, expensive repairs, continues ignoring 2,000 years of proven technology. But now you know better. You know that Italian shelters protected families through world wars using techniques older than Christianity. You know that self-healing concrete is real and scientifically documented. You know that our ancestors built better than we do today. The question is, what you'll do with this knowledge. The ancients already showed us how to build shelters that last forever. We just stopped listening.